right? Because if you're going to any type of provider, let's say it's an email service, right? There's a million email services out there. Which one do I use for my business and which one should I focus on? I think that getting curated like a list of providers is extremely valuable. A great example, we're looking for an app right now to connect TikTok shops to our Amazon account and to our drop shipping, to our 3PL. There's a bunch of them out there.
Yeah.
Which one do we use?
Right.
And that's a challenge because I've got to have calls, look at that. And if someone could say, hey, listen, I've looked at all. This is the one I use. This is who you should use. You're like, thank you.
Treading water is the same as drowning to people like you and me. You better start swimming. Welcome to I'm the One podcast. I'm your host, Rob Green.
All right. So, Taylor, pleasure to have you here. I'm excited to talk to you about your entrepreneurial journey and Premier Spike.
Yeah, actually, it's a fun story I'd like to share. So hopefully we can help some other people.
That is exciting. So tell us a little bit about your background.
Yeah. So, I got into, the sport of Roundnet. And to clarify, so a lot of people know it as Spikeball. Spikeball is a brand, that's been around, kind of made it popular, but the sport is called Roundnet. And I got into it in 2018, kind of wanted to play more competitively. I'm from Utah, and so I created Utah Roundnet, which was, we started running events, running tournaments, and quickly boomed, more than anywhere in the world. We're hosting the biggest tournaments, host 30 plus every year. And so, kind of got into that in 2018 and was able to quit my day job in 2021 and just do that full time, which was, a dream come true. And apparently I got a little bored after a year. So at the beginning of 2022, I had a whole bunch of broken sets, in my garage, and decided that, hey, we can do something a little bit better, create a better product, a little more professional. People are traveling the country, traveling the world to play this game. And, they should have something a little more consistent and stronger. So, spent all of 2022, designing, developing, prototyping, testing until we, landed on the design we liked and felt confident in, and kind of did a soft launch of Premier Spike to this niche competitive Roundnet community. And kind of did a soft launch, then just sent out surprise gifts to pro players of our prototypes. That was kind of our launch of how we entered into the space of, hey, we're going to be, the first legit competitor to the name brand of Spikeball. So I'm creating a premium product, and so yeah, that's kind of.
When'd you guys go live?
So we opened up pre-orders February of 2023.
Okay.
And then got our first shipment, started shipping out to customers in August.
Wow. So you just shipped a few months ago.
Yep.
Okay, great. Can you give us, I played Roundnet in my backyard with kids. Can you give us all a little bit of an idea how big of a market this is? Like, how many players are there? There's obviously recreational players at home, but how many players are there across the world, across the country? Do you have any idea of that?
Roughly, and it varies, right? Because some people get into it and what are competitive, you've got intermediate divisions, but I kind of classify competitive anyone who's going to a tournament. So there can be a beginner person, but if they're going to a tournament to compete, and there's, roughly, I'd say just under about 10,000 nationwide. And then you probably double that if you go worldwide.
Okay.
And so that's kind of that competitive market. Now, obviously there's backyard ballers like yourself, that make up 90% of the space.
Okay.
And so, we obviously want to also go to them because everyone wants quality, whether or not they're, really want to do it, for consistency's sake, but, you just want a quality set. And so, there's kind of those two different customer segments that we have, the competitive Roundnet player and the backyard baller.
Well, this is exciting for me. I love to do like almost case study analysis of an entrepreneur's journey and kind of dig in a little bit. So, did you have any experience with supply chain, manufacturing, anything before you started doing this?
Nothing. Okay. I had done real estate. I had done some other little side gigs. I, had, a sporting event business, and everything kind of came fairly easy to me. As I know the sport pretty well. I know all the influencers, pro players. A whole bunch of them stayed at my house in 2020. We did a quarantine spike house. So I had a lot of good relationships. I thought, this is going to be pretty easy to launch, and I was mistaken on that part, but it's still been fun.
Yeah, I told some of my friends, I had a couple of supply chain management classes in grad school, but I had almost no respect for supply chain until I started importing products from China. And I learned very, very quickly the difficulties and the challenges of dealing with, especially an overseas manufacturer and freight forwarding. And, I mentioned you earlier, I don't think anybody loves their freight forwarder.
Right.
Kind of tolerant of them. But I think did you go to China to do this?
Yep. So we did have, that was actually the easiest part of it was finding a manufacturer. We got a referral from a friend and sponsor of mine of our tournaments that they had just launched called Paddle Smash. So they're kind of, that blend of Roundnet and pickleball. And they're doing very well there. So just on Shark Tank as well. But so they gave me some referrals. So we're able to find a manufacturer. They turned out amazing. They're super helpful, which was really what I needed. I needed someone that was like, okay, we had our 3D printing prototypes. They helped us to bring that into plastic injection, put everything together. So they have been extremely helpful as far as all of that goes. That was actually not biggest at it.
That's great. Having someone to help you, guide you through that process is tremendously helpful. And I've been to China 6 to 8 times before the pandemic, and I go visit factories. I took my daughter when she wasn't even 10 yet. I took her to China for 9 days.
Nice.
Did the trade show thing and went and saw some factories. And it can be challenging because a lot of times you don't really know what you're getting. So if you get somebody that already has a referral for you, it's worth gold. We do a lot of reverse engineering, so we'll find a product that we want to go after in a category.
Sure.
We'll just find their supplier. And if they're a good enough company and they've got good reviews, for example, that company probably does a good job.
Right.
We start there.
Right.
And we say, hey, we want to make something similar, but this kind of design or change from there. It gives you a big leg up than just some random person that you're spamming on.
Oh, yeah. How do you trust someone that's like, I've never met you. I can see you on a video, but who knows what's going on in the background. If anything's going on, and you didn't take my money, right? I mean, so having that referral is huge.
Yeah, and a lot of those guys aren't even factories. They're just trading companies. Middlemen trying to tell you that they're a factory. They got a picture behind them of a factory. But they do that a lot.
No trade shows. No backgrounds, no, right?
Yeah. So how did you kick off starting? How did you start selling? So did you do pre-sales?
So we did pre-sales. So we launched our brand, just logo, kind of mission statement of, kind of in November, December of 2022.
Okay.
And then, again, sent out those prototypes in January. Just kind of built up a bunch of hype and then, announced that, hey, we're going to open up pre-orders. And so that started at the end of February for the US. And then we have to figure out our distribution for Europe and the rest of the world. So those pre-orders opened up in April. So it kind of gave us a good boost. We had like 2 kind of big launches. But yeah, we did about 50,000 in pre-orders.
Nice.
And all organic. There was no paid advertising. This was strictly for this niche Roundnet community.
No Kickstarter campaign, no Indiegogo, just yourself.
Just ourselves.
Just a website, a landing page, pre-order.
Shopify, website, yep. So so that went really well. Really excited about it. And then, like I said, August, we were able to we got sent a 20-foot container to Europe, 20-foot to here in the US. Found some, got creative on distributing in some of the other countries like the UK and Canada and Switzerland, which didn't have, that free trade market with either the US, or EU. So got creative in those situations. But yeah, that's kind of how.
Were you able to use, was the money that you got from the pre-orders enough to fund your first couple orders?
No.
Okay, so you did have it come out of pocket.
Yeah, so like I said, I had, some experience in real estate. So I have some personal savings. We said, all right, this is going in.
Yep.
And it'll come back to us. And so, but yeah, so.
And you're the only investor in it. Is that
no? So me and because I don't know anything about engineering or product design or any of that. So, I kind of had drawn down the design initial, kind of what I thought it would be. But then I had a buddy of mine who plays Spike with me. And he was kind of cutting his teeth into engineering. So I reached out to him, and he'd actually come to me like with some other designs of, here, let's try to make the net more stable. And so I'm like, all right, it's something he's going to be passionate about as well. And so I basically said, hey, Adam, can you help me bring this to life?
Yep.
And he had like a little 3D printer, and I didn't realize, how much work it really was for him to, he's printing out these little 12-inch segments. And then, getting a PVC pipe, heating it with sand. And we did about half a dozen of those prototypes and figuring out, okay, how do we connect the legs to the rims and put everything together? So he's also a partner, and then we actually just brought on my business mentor, and his creative director is kind of a marketing arm of the business as well.
Okay, so I love these stories. So you got started, came up with an idea. You said, I see an opportunity. I want to make a better product. Did pre-orders, got some money, took a little bit of your own money, added to that, created your first order. You've launched now. What's next for Premier Spike?
So now it is, we've kind of, made a decent splash in this competitive community. And so now, like I say, so working with, my business mentor and kind of them taking the marketing, it's hitting that other segment, it's hitting the masses. And so, I'm passionate about the competitive side, the tournament. So I want to, eventually create, a semi-professional type of league, once we make some more money and whatnot. But the next step is, getting into schools, getting into camps, the summer camps, a big market where, okay, they're gonna purchase some, we're gonna make some money there. Really, that's how we expose our product to thousands of other potential customers. I go volunteer in high school PE classes to kind of grow the sport for our events side, but also, it's great just to get the casual player. It's like, oh yeah, I see these sets, and we're gonna have a bunch of sales from there. So it's doing that route, obviously eventually getting into retail and just turning on paid advertising for the masses.
Okay, so I'm an e-commerce guy. I focus on Amazon, Walmart, and Shopify. Tell me, have you thought about the marketplaces? So let's use the up-and-coming one. We're spending a lot of time right now on TikTok shops.
Yep.
I cannot believe the opportunity that we're seeing on TikTok shops. So how do you think about the marketplaces or the other channels like a TikTok shop?
Yes. So funny you say that. Just yesterday, we're on the marketing call with our team again. We just formed this partnership 2 weeks ago. So right now we've sent our team, the information they need to get our TikTok shop open. So
great.
So they're pushing hard on TikTok shops, Facebook and Instagram doing their kind of shopping networks. Obviously Amazon's a huge one. So I was listening to your a few episodes ago, and that hassle and headache of Amazon. And so we've dealt with all that, and so about to get all that turned on as well. So it's that's a struggle though, right? It's like, okay, I'm trying to compete with this monopoly of this giant company, and it's like, okay, they're doing this and this and this, and I got the vision for it, but it's like getting it done. It's tough. It's a lot, and so it's like trying to open up. Okay, we got our Shopify. We did well there. Now it's one, improving that online store, but also going down all these other opportunities, these other markets, and making them happen and doing them right. And so that's why it was like, all right, this is just too much. I gotta bring in my mentor and have him help us out.
Yeah, I'd be really curious to see what you find out is which channels actually drive the most revenue, because I do think it is a risk to go too wide.
Exactly, that's right.
Without the people and the money and the expertise, you can end up doing a lot of work and making two sales.
Right, because if everything is 75% well done, everything's done.
Yeah, it's too competitive nowadays, I find, to be able to do that. Are you on Amazon yet?
We got our store open, but we're not actually selling product yet.
Okay. Let me see if I can get a contact for you over there. They have a division that they want new brands. So my understanding from talking to people at Amazon, they want competitors. They want innovative new brands. So they actually have a department that will help you.
Oh, really?
For a year.
Okay.
Without paying for it. And they'll help you navigate Amazon. So let me see if I can get a contact for you. Invaluable.
Yeah.
You can only, it's a fiscal year. So you get it for the whole next year. If this was the middle of the year, you'd be stuck with the middle of the year if we can get it. That might be really valuable to allow you to help navigate, because they want more innovative products. They want new things to the platform. Right. Sounds like your product might be perfect for that.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
And so we try to get you that. And then I think the TikTok shops might be interesting because it's a very demonstrable product, right? You show it being used, you show the differences in the product. People are going to get excited about it. You can get a lot of the guys that you said that play pro, you can get them to be influencers.
Yeah, and that's what we've been doing is some of the guys. Their TikToks, their reels are getting millions of views.
Wow!
So even though it's a very niche sport on the competitive side of things, everyone. So many people play it. So many people know no spike ball, which is the sport of Roundnet. And so, it's not like something brand new. But yeah, I mean, there's some really exciting things because people they just play in their backyard. So all they know is the thump set, spike on the net, thump set, spike on the net. Yeah, when you see like, okay, what is competitive Roundnet like? And yeah, it kind of blows all those amateur players away. Like, oh wow, this is what the sport is really like. So yes, we've absolutely been, it's a huge social media opportunity to be able to do some big things.
That's really exciting. Now, you mentioned you did some other stuff, real estate before this, and you and I were talking off camera about this a little bit. What's the big lesson you learned about your entrepreneurial journey? What do you want to share with people?
The big thing is find people that know what they're doing, because I can't learn everything myself. I'm very passionate, and so it drives me. I had to learn as much as I could. I learned manufacturing, distribution's a total nightmare. So try to find those partners. You're going to hit those struggles as well.
Yeah.
And so that passion, really pushes me through a lot of those struggles. It probably adds more to the anxiety and the more emotions and, negative emotions. And, it seems like on a weekly basis, something happens. I'm like, what am I doing? How am I going to be successful in this? And, then I have, the customer, send us a DM with their review and saying how great it is. And just kind of like, all right, let's get back at it. Let's get to work and keep it going.
So that passion is kind of the underlying foundation for you to keep you driving forward.
Yeah, a lot of it.
Yeah, it sounds like you've got a good balance, because the one thing I've noticed is that some people become too passionate about it and they let the emotion cloud their decision making, in terms of they continue to do something maybe they shouldn't.
Right.
They're in love with their product, but it's not making money, for example. Right. It's just not a prospect of making money, and they'll just keep plowing ahead because they love it too much, or they think of the brand as their baby, right? They think of it as like a human almost, right?
Yeah.
So they're afraid to do something with it. I think one thing that I've been fortunate enough to be a little bit more dispassionate about it. I would love to find something that I had a fitness brand, which I was really passionate about, because I love fitness and made products that I used. So it was like, this is great. But otherwise, I've been pretty dispassionate. Usually let the data drive where we want to go in terms of products and opportunities, and then leverage that to move to the next level.
Yeah, it's been, over the last couple of weeks, it has been a little bit of a learning experience as well. Having my partners keep me in check.
Yeah.
Because there are times it's like, well, no, I want to do this. And like, well, that's, to your 10% of your customer base, and we got to focus on the 90. I'm like, okay, you're right. And so, it's good to kind of have that balance. But this was my way out. I was in the 9 to 5. Went to college for just, business administration degree. And it's like my passion was sports. And I lucked out into kind of getting into the, ground level of this new sport, as far as running tournaments goes. And so, that definitely drives me through a lot of things. But you absolutely have to keep yourself in check. Make sure that it's not just like no, it's not my way or the highway. It's okay, let's see what everyone else has to say, which again is a big part of all the call them partnerships, of just, where I'm their customer. But, I interview accounting firms and 3PLs and freight forwarders, and, basically say, I don't know this. I don't want to know this, but I want people who can, educate me, and that I can learn to trust, say, hey, I can send you this, you're going to take care of it. And so I'm fortunate for most of the people we've been working with to be able to do that for me, so that I don't have to get blinded and make a poor decision, based on my passion.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think of it as curation, right? Yeah. Because if you're going to any type of provider, let's say it's an email service, right? There's a million email services out there. Which one do I use for my business, and which one should I focus on? I think that getting curated like a list of providers is extremely valuable. Great example. We're looking for an app right now to connect TikTok shops to our Amazon account and to our drop shipping, to our 3PL. There's a bunch of them out.
Yeah.
Which one do we use?
Right.
And that's a challenge, because we've got to we have calls, we got to look at that. And if someone could say, hey, listen, I've looked at all. This is the one I use. This is who you should use. You're like, thank you.
Well, yeah, like I said, when it came to my manufacturer in China, that was the easiest part of what I did, because I had that referral, and they, came through. Obviously, I shouldn't blindly trust a referral, but, I could tell that they were helping me. And so, that was the one thing that we only had one interview for.
Yeah.
Because they were great from the get-go and continue to be. So yeah, but yeah, I mean, having that referral, someone who's vetted things, because you get, right, we all get all these spammy emails, and, you know, now they're AI driven, so it sounds better, but like, you're still like, oh, this was an AI bot. But it's like, okay, who's like actually cares about my product? Who's actually done the research and they're actually like, oh, this could be cool. I want to be a part of it, not just looking for some customer. That's at least what I look for.
Your journey, where you're at, your journey reminds me a lot of when I first started doing my own businesses. And I'll give you a lot of credit because I wasn't smart enough. I wasn't as smart as you are, where I found the right partners. I did a lot of it on my own and wore a lot of hats and just grinded through it. And I think you're doing a much better job of that than I did. You're learning, saying, hey, listen, I need to find experts in all these different areas that can help me. And then I can grow and go faster that way. I think it took me too long to learn that. I old school kind of powered through and it did that way. So I think I give you a lot of respect for what you're doing. I would advise also, since you've already got that concept, join a group.
Yeah.
Join an, Ecom Fuel or something like that. Get around other entrepreneurs that will give you access through the network to that curation.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's invaluable. Like, so it took me a while to do that. A quick story on it. It was 2016 and I got an email marketing thing for a mastermind in Mexico for $10,000. And I told my wife, I said, hey, what do you think? I said, it's $10,000. We're doing really well. Businesses are doing well, but it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
What do you think? She's like, I don't think you should do it. So I went to my wife 2 days later. I said, hey, I bought a ticket. I said, I'm going. I appreciate the advice. I'm going to go. We'll see how it goes. I think it's going to work. And it was great. And I met a bunch of great people that came out of that, met some great people, co-founder. We started a mastermind together, which now we still run 6 years later. I mean, that was a turning point.
Awesome.
In building that network.
Cool.
And at the same time, I started speaking at a couple of events. That built a network. So I think building that network of curated, like if I have a problem on Amazon, I don't call Amazon.
Right.
I message my friends in WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Like I go to the group and I message. That's how I figure it out.
Interesting.
So I think starting off, there's so much to learn. There's so much different aspects of the business that are new. I would definitely invest in a group.
Yeah, I appreciate that because I've seen those. I get Chris Meads from CrossNet. I get his newsletter, and he's mentioning some of that, and yeah, that's good to know because I'm like, what's the purpose of this? Because when I used to do B2C selling.
Yep.
And so I go to these different groups, and right, it's just everyone trying to sell their own thing, and so that's when I think of like networking. I'm like, oh man, that's when I got out of that business. I was like, I'm shutting off my LinkedIn. I'm like not doing BNI and all this fake, fake business stuff. But that's huge to know because I realize that these mastermind groups aren't about selling your product to other people. It's about their referrals, which again, as we've discussed, is huge to have. So that's good to know.
E-commerce fuel, I'm not in it, but I've got a couple of friends who are. It's been around forever. It's well respected. It's not the selling part of it. It's more of a group of entrepreneurs kind of traveling together through the journey.
Awesome.
And learning. So that's one I would take a look at it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
The other thing it reminds me of when starting, you've got 2 kids.
Nope.
You said 10 and 7.
10 and 7.
Married.
Yep.
All right. So you're trying to balance all that.
Yeah.
All right. I'm assuming your wife is supporting this adventure.
She is. She's the one that, whenever I get down, she's like, look what you're doing. I mean, she's like, you're in your first year, they're in their 15th year. I'm so impatient. Because of, again, everything I've done has been like rather simple. I put together a national championship, in a week, a couple of years ago. And it's like, it's just, that kind of stuff came so easy. And I got this vision, this passion, which again, right, that blinds you. And so like that almost adds to my emotions. It's like, why I want to do this. I just need, a little bit more money. I just need a little bit of this. And, she keeps me in check and says, all right, calm down a little bit, take it slow, step by step, and you'll get there. So
yeah, very fortunate. My wife was extremely supportive in some of the adventures I've done. I'm a little more, shoot from the hip, I think, than you are with that stuff. And she's always been supportive of that. So I think I've noticed a lot of people that want to be entrepreneurs, whether it's a husband or a wife, sometimes the spouse is a lot more risk averse, right? And so they kind of hold them back a little bit because they're not comfortable with the risk, right? So it's great that you have that. But I'd love that, not a lot of people spend time talking about this and diving in, because there is that emotional part of it, right? It's I'm the husband, I've got a house, I've got kids, I got bills. How did you manage that, or how do you continue to manage it in your current frame of mind?
It's a continual thing. I've not slept fantastic over the past year. But the one thing I will say is, particularly with the family balance is, when I was starting up my other business, Utah Roundnet, of running tournaments, I was working at a full-time job and doing that.
Yep.
And that was a lot of fun for me, doing that side of things. But there were, nights that, all right, wife and kids go to bed and I'm still working instead of going to bed with my wife. And so, that happened for a couple of years. And so when I was able to, quit my day job, I have made sure to be a lot more conscientious of, okay, office hours versus family hours. And so trying to, close my laptop at 5 or 6 at night, spend time with the family, be with my wife at night. So it's been a huge help to be able to manage that, because if I'm stressing for 12 to 14 hours a day and just like, I got to do something, I got to be more successful. That's kind of my natural urge. It's just like, I've got work to do. My goal is I just want to be successful. Like that's my fear, is to not make progress in my life. And so, so finding that balance so that each day I can come back, and kind of get back to it, say, all right, what's the next step for today? And hit all the emails, right? Try to keep, everything organized using AI calendar, all that stuff. So
that's great. I think a lot of people talk about like family work balance. My perspective on it, which has served me well with the kids and the wife, is that we focus on integration. So I think, especially at your kids' age, 7 and 10, mine are a little older now, 15 and 13, but they've only known really me as an entrepreneur.
Right.
Since as far back as they can remember. I had a job before that, but corporate job, but that's all they know. So They only know it that way. And it's been fun to help integrate them into the businesses. And they come in here. I interviewed my daughter a few weeks ago on the pod, and they understand the business. It's going to China. Like they understand like what happens. I think there's tremendous value. I didn't have that growing up. And so that's the other part that kind of drives me to integrate a family with the business. And it does kind of blend. Some people don't like that, but I think it blends, and it really is valuable for the kids.
No, I'm a big believer in that. My dad, he taught me a great work ethic. And so, that's been a big part of what I've wanted to instill with them. And especially where it's a fun business, right? And this is sport.
Yeah.
My son, he's 9, which is kind of like the low end of most, it's a struggle with small hands and playing this game. And he's obviously in there because he's my son. And so, he's teaching his friends in our basement and teach him how to play. And then I'll bring him to my tournaments.
Awesome.
It's like, here, this is something fun. I'm just hanging out. That's the best day job in the world, is I'm out in the sun with all of who become some of my best friends, just play this game. And I obviously have to work and run the tournament. I love bringing my kids there. My wife will bring them by at the end of the day. I'll pay them to help me just clean up everything. And really kind of instill that, because that, for me, the goal would be to somehow at least have this opportunity, whether I turn it over to them at some point, whatever they want to do with their life, but at least have it be an opportunity through high school, through college, that, hey, here's a job. You can just kind of help me with what I'm doing.
So I am not a financial advisor or a tax advisor, and I don't play one on the internet either. But if he is working in the business, and as the business becomes more successful, I would recommend considering putting him as a employee.
Yes, I've heard of what you can do for kids and wives.
Once they have earned income, they can contribute to a Roth IRA.
Right.
So my kids fully fund their Roth IRA every year.
Yep.
And so you're setting them up to have a really positive plan B.
Yep.
In case things don't work out.
Right.
That's the goal.
That's what we want to do. We want to have our kids be better off than we were.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you're incorporating the kids into the business, and it sounds like you're doing a really good job of that.
Actually, one more funny story. When we first got our shipment, in August, and it was the day before, we had, our big summer spike tournament, one of our what we call our major events. and, we'd advertise it because I knew when the shipment was supposed to come in. It came a couple days late, but like it was still the day before this tournament. And so, I had my kids, I'm like, all right, kids, get in the garage. We're putting together sets. And so it's like, we're, unboxing, like, all right, you guys can put all the rooms together and strap on the nets. And so, for a couple of hours, we just had this little assembly line of my two kids, and then I went out for ice cream afterwards. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of fun. It's especially fun hearing them correct me on the name. Whenever one of our friends will come over and use Spike Ball, like, no, it's Roundnet or it's Premier Spike. And so it's really fun to see them passionate about what I'm doing.
I love that. And I like that. You're the one kind of driving your own pressure. Like hey, listen, I want to be successful. I don't want to go back to the 9 to 5. I want to create the kind of dream life that I want. And I say this all the time, but I truly believe that being an entrepreneur is the recipe for an extraordinary life.
Yeah.
And I think once you have some success with it, as you have more success, just creates more and more opportunities, right?
Yeah.
Money is they're just bullets in the gut.
Well, and the other part of it is, particularly kind of going into this niche sport of Roundnet, but obviously it's applicable for everything. Right now, there's no real Roundnet economy, right? I mean, you have this monopoly of Spike Ball, and then you have other people that are like, oh, I'm doing this little coaching session, or doing jerseys, and so I'm trying to foster this growth of this whole Roundnet economy, and partnering with hey, let's just help each other grow. And that's something that I realized that as my business grows, I can also work with others and, and kind of foster that growth, of, hey, let's do this together. And the other side of it is now I have, I'm working with one of our players, partnering together on, an app that is going to be beneficial for our sport as well. And so it's just like, okay, once I have resources, now I can do more. I can put more into the sport. I can do, help other people that are also trying to do similar things. So that's what I'm really excited for that opportunity. And obviously, right now we're still starting out really fresh. But as we grow, to really be able to okay, now we can do some really big things.
So I love to try to find ways to help people. I try always in my life try to add value to people. So tell me about what do you think your biggest challenges are moving forward? Let's take the next 6 to 12 months. What do I think for the business are the biggest challenges?
Yeah, a lot of the big things would be distribution.
Okay.
I mentioned we got this one shipment, and for a lot of 3PLs, we're too small for it. But especially when we now say, okay, we've got customers in Canada, we've got customers in throughout, some of the non-Europe or non-EU free trade countries, and we've literally have customers there that have said, hey, how do we get this price down? Instead of importing, one product at a time and have to pay customs, I say, hey, anybody who we can ship a pallet of sets to, and you store in your garage, and we'll pay you a little bit to fulfill on each one. And so that's what we got, so just helping with some of that, that distribution, and obviously, funding comes into some of that where we can really do some bigger things, getting into retail. Any of those kind of partnerships, you mentioned Amazon, obviously that's a huge one we need to get on very quickly, or finalize our store at least. So, yeah, I mean, there's some of that.
Sometimes the retail doesn't really help the funding part of it.
No, not the fact. You've got to have the funding to get it into retail, and then it comes on bad. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I think I would say the direct-to-consumer sales feels like the fastest path.
Yeah.
For you guys to grow the business. And the one thing I would say that most I'd say business owners, but especially e-com business owners, don't really understand is their metrics. So I would really advise you to get a handle on your KPIs. So that is some basic stuff like what's your lifetime value of your customer? Are there certain customers that have a higher lifetime value than others?
Right.
Are your unit economics stable in all countries? Do you make enough money
to be
able to ship to every single country, or do you need to focus on maybe only in the US and the UK? But getting a real clear understanding with a dashboard and a scorecard, or some type of Power BI or Tableau dashboarding system to really get clarity on a daily or weekly basis of your numbers. It's so easy as an entrepreneur to lose focus on that.
Absolutely.
And sometimes as the volume goes up, it goes sideways faster. And as you get more products, right? It's a lot harder to stay on top of everything that happens. So I would suggest, especially early on, put something in place.
Absolutely.
They can get you those KPIs, and it's a reporting out, not you going joking.
Right, exactly.
It's got to be reporting out to you. Otherwise, it should actually be reporting out to everybody. So everybody has visibility in what's happening. And then the conversations are around, hey, I noticed we sold more this day. What caused that?
Right.
Oh, we sold less that day. What happened? Oh, we got more returns this 1 week. Is there something going on? Did a shipment go wrong or something like that, right? Digging into those details early and putting those systems in place is absolutely critical as you scale, because otherwise it gets ugly really, really fast.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was one of the first things that our marketing team, instilled. Was like, all right, we got to make sure all of our systems are accurate so they know what to do. And, when I, used to work at his old marketing agency, I did sales. So I knew the strategies, but I didn't know how to execute on it. I knew the KPIs, but I didn't really know how to analyze them. I knew them as buzzwords to get a sale. And so, that's definitely been helpful to get them in and really help understand all of that. And because data is key.
I mean, it's a data-driven economy now, and I think so many people. I know when AI's helped a lot with that. I mean, Code Interpreter and ChatGPT allows you to upload a spreadsheet and analyze it. I mean, it's darn near magic nowadays, right? I like data, and even now it still blows me away what's capable. So it's really closing the gap for a lot of people that aren't comfortable with data or financials even, right? If you upload a P&L and have it analyze it for you. I mean, it's really amazing.
The one thing I will say that I'm excited to be able to offload the marketing stuff, right? Because my days were swamped, and I'm trying to do all the hats. And I'm really excited to free up some time for that, because I want to data the AI.
Okay.
That's something that I have not been able to really grasp, how to use it. Okay. Because I'm excited. I just want to take a week and just be like, all right, I'm just going to do an AI training course this week, and that's all I'm doing. So I'm really excited to actually dig into that, because I know, I can envision some of the capabilities. And so all right, we got to take advantage of this. So on a side note,
No, I spent a ton of time on it this last year, and even the challenge is you have to do it all the time. Because I cannot believe the rate of change. So OpenAI just came out with custom GPTs last week, so maybe 9 days ago. It allows you to train your own GPT.
Okay.
So I did it on Monday.
Okay.
I took a process we've already built. I uploaded the SOP. I got the results, modified the instructions. It creates an image, an icon for it. And then I trained it on some other data that I had. We created in a half hour.
Wow.
Created the best Amazon listing generator I've ever seen.
Interesting.
And so we've tested on all our products. I've actually tested on a few friends. We'll see how the data comes back for them. But I mean, custom GPTs are absolutely mind-blowing.
Wow.
And this is all in the last 10 days.
Yeah.
And so now there's a whole directory of custom GPTs. So I think it's really, that's like drinking from a fire hose.
Right. Right. So it's man, when I'm trying to do all the basics, I'm trying to get the low hanging fruit, right? It's let's get off the ground. Let's set a foundation so that I can now get into some of these things that are really going to push us to that next level.
There's that. It gives me, and not that I have any shortage of business ideas, but there's another business idea right there, is to create a group of business owners focused on how to utilize AI. Because it's hard. I'm paying attention. I'm on multiple newsletters. I'm playing with ChatGPT and Claude every day, and I still can't keep up with it, right?
Yeah.
So it's all right, well, I could use it for this, or I could use it for this, but really kind of coming up with, as a group, maybe use cases, and how we're utilizing it to make more money or cut expenses, right? There is tremendous value there as people try to navigate it.
Well, like you say, the networking groups of just, okay, what works for everybody, and in this ever evolving, technology economy we live in now, it's okay, what's the latest? How did somebody use this, right? Because someone's gonna mess around with something and figure out something that's helpful, and that's, I guess, where some of that networking can be really helpful.
Yeah, I think it's going to be businesses that use AI, and then there's going to be businesses that used to be in business.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's any option. It's such a game changer. It levels the playing field at an unbelievable rate. You can create logos now with AI. There's so much stuff.
I saw the ironically Premier Lacrosse League, and they had AI generate stadiums for each of all their new teams. It was just yesterday's. It's insane what it can do.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's exciting. Anything else, I'd like to give people some action steps. So if there's anybody in the audience who's where you were, maybe, a year and a half ago, thinking about doing this, any advice you'd like to give to them?
Yeah, I would say that the biggest thing is find people that can help you. I didn't know anything about manufacturing, distributing. And it was like something that, it was like a learning experience, but like also I didn't want to learn it all. I wanted to know enough that I knew that whoever was, doing it was doing the right thing and be able to make decisions. But being able to like, don't be too proud to like just ask somebody. Take someone to lunch. I mentioned paddle smash, and like I took him to lunch a couple of times, and I just said, you guys have blown it up. And this is a game that there was no market for before, right? There was no existing sport. And they blew up. And so I took them to lunch a couple of times and said, okay, tell me what I don't know. Don't be afraid to do that. And then if you've got passion, in fact, whatever the passion is, whether it's in your product itself, whether it's in just finding success, letting that passion push you through the struggles, because they'll come. And find your little wins. That's the biggest thing my wife tells me is, I'm trying to compare myself to this 15-year-old company, and she's like, but look, you've got a customer who's extremely happy. You got Canadians that just threw a tournament. You've got people storing their garage is filled with your equipment just because they're passionate. Like they're only gonna make a couple $100 on it. Like they're just passionate about your product, and that's the customers that you have. You'll be fine. And so it's finding those little wins to really push you through that.
That's great advice. There's a book called The Gap in the Game by Dan Sullivan. I actually did an episode talking about it. I'm in Strategic Coach, which he owns, a co-founder, founded. He talked to your wife, maybe read it, and just you didn't know.
She's a big reader. So,
but the whole idea is to not look at the gap between you and the competitor.
Right.
Look at the gains you've made. When you look backwards, that leads to happiness. When you look forward to where you ought to be and you're not there, that's where you create that unhappiness.
Absolutely. I think when you talk about passion blinding people, that's been my biggest thing, right? I mean, I work on me being a competitor, to the other company is it's a very personal thing for me, right? I mean, I was their biggest ambassador for 5 years. It's personal to that. It's personal to me. We're a little ant on their radar, but so it's like, okay, it's that is not my competitor. My competitor is me. My competitor is what I have done, and focus on that. That is that has been a hurdle of my passion that I have had to keep in check is, okay, focus on me, don't focus on my competitor.
Yeah, that's great advice. Too many people get caught up with what their competitors are doing. Yeah. And I think even if you go that route, the best case scenario is you're copying them.
Right.
So you're still behind them all the time.
Yeah.
So I love the idea that you took a problem in the market and said, hey, I want to make a better product, an innovative product. And then now how can I serve the people? And I believe, I got a friend of mine who does a high-end pickleball paddle company.
Okay.
And so he's got a bunch of professional players that use it. I think one of the, McEnroe or one of those guys played with it when they did that Pro-Am tournament.
Oh, okay.
It's crushing. He's doing really, really well with it. And you see it start flowing down, right? It's the pros, and then it's the serious competitive, tournament player. Then it's the recreational player. And they're playing with it. It'll be a solid product.
Right.
So I think that's a well-known path to success.
Right.
And I would say, don't be afraid of going after the recreational home user, because, I mean, I like to buy things that are quality, right? I'd rather pay more money for something that's going to last. And then I think really, because it's a visual thing, I probably don't know how to play Roundnet the right way, right? So like getting it in front of people, the best, TikTok seems to be the best medium for that right now.
A lot of some of these, TikToks and Reels that are going, viral, relative to what our niche sport is. These are some of the rules that you don't know about, and that's the engagement, right? And so that's a big part of what we've got in plan is a content plan of, okay, we're not just going to put out, rallies that, oh, cool, this is a cool highlight, but like really educate people on the sport. That's what I really want to drive is, sell to the backyard ballers, the casual players, and try to drive them into the sport. Realize that, hey, there are tournaments pretty much every state. There's an organization that hosts tournaments. and really trying to push that. And again, goes back to the networking of, I'm trying to help support all these other organizations and do what I can do for them as they grow and rising tide floats all boats. And so, but yeah, that's a big part of it, is that education of sport versus backyard game.
I love it. Well, I'm excited to see where you take Premier Spike, because I love seeing companies in this early journey and to find out what the next level is.
Yeah.
So thanks for coming in and chatting today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right, take care.
Cool.
If you enjoyed today's podcast, please subscribe, leave a review, and share with friends. Visit I'mTheOne.com and ask me anything. And as always, stay curious and never stop becoming the one.